We've talked in the past about the cycle of burnout and in general how to manage or prevent burnout. But today we're going to dive deeper into some of the signs of burnout that can communicate to you that it might be time to rest. Welcome to Therapy Explained, where we explain, demystify, and destigmatize mental health and mental health treatment. My name is Deniss. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist and your very own mental health cheerleader. If you're not already subscribed to this channel, make sure that you do so that you can get weekly videos on all things mental health. And if you want a written list of today's topic, get your cheat sheet on my Instagram. Without further ado though, let's go ahead and just jump into the topic of today's video, which is the signs of burnout. As I mentioned, we've talked about the cycle of burnout in the past, so make sure to check out that video if you would like to learn more about the cycle of burnout and how to manage it. But today I want to leave you with an actual list of behaviors that you can look for that can communicate to you that it's time to take a break and take care of yourself. Number one, skipping meals. This one can happen in a way that we don't even notice because we just say every so often, that's okay, I'll just skip lunch or I'll skip breakfast so I can get to work on time or so I could take that meeting. But that is the first sign. Remember that our basic needs are, well, the basis for the rest of our mental health. And if we're not feeding ourselves, we're most likely going to add to this feeling of difficulty concentrating. We're not going to be able to really be emotionally present. We'll be more irritable, and it just messes with our body. As you know, it's very popular for us to say, I'm hangry, and there's a reason for that. When you're hungry, your body cannot function well. So if you're starting to skip meals, make sure that you are holding yourself accountable for setting healthy boundaries around meal times. A really helpful behavior to adopt is to actually schedule in meal times in your work calendar so that no one else can schedule a meeting during that time, and you can keep yourself accountable for, well, feeding yourself and taking a break. Number two, skipping personal care. Similar to skipping our basic needs like feeding ourselves, we might then start also saying, I will just not brush my teeth. Maybe I'll just shower tomorrow because, I got to get to this meeting or I got to finish this project. Something else kind of needs to get done. So maybe I won't wash my face, right? So I won't do these things that are supposed to help my body feel refreshed and clean and cared for. And this goes to that self-love piece that we tend to talk about in this channel, how important it is for us to practice self-care and self-love, and that a lot of the times it actually looks like these basic steps, not necessarily going to the spa or taking these long vacations or drinking some wine, but that self-care and self-love looks like making sure that you are bathing yourself, that you are taking care of your body, brushing your teeth, and even like in the last point, feeding yourself. So if you notice that you're starting to kind of skip on some of these things, it might be a sign that you should try to again establish healthy boundaries around these basic needs and taking care of these basic needs. Something that can be really helpful with this is establishing routines, and I just did a video on establishing routines. What a quinky dink. So if you want to go ahead and check out that video, how to create a routine that actually works for you and that doesn't feel, well, too routine, go ahead and check out that video. Number three, making mistakes. This will often come as a result of not meeting our basic needs. So if we're not feeding ourselves, if we're not taking care of our body, we're probably not going to feel energized, we're not going to feel motivated. And the thing about burnout, as you might remember from our previous video about this, is that it's an exhaustion, right? It's a feeling of tiredness, right? Of not feeling motivated or having the energy or wanting to really do anything, particularly as it applies to your job or school. You don't want to do the things, and because you're not motivated, you're probably not going to be present when you're doing the work. You're going to be somewhere else, or you're going to want to hurry through it to try to get to maybe something that you are looking forward to, and that causes us to make mistakes. If you're not eating, you're probably going to have a hard time concentrating, you're going to forget things, and you're more likely to make mistakes. So if you're making mistakes more than you often do or more than you usually do, then it might be a sign to take a step back and look through your basic needs and make sure that you're meeting those. Number 4, not getting enough sleep. You're probably noticing a theme here, and the first red flags are all about our basic needs. If you're not getting enough sleep, again, it'll be hard for you to be present, to concentrate, to feel motivated. And if you're already feeling an emotional exhaustion from work because of your burnout, a physical exhaustion is going to just add to that. So if you are noticing that you're saying, I'll just stay up a little bit later to finish this task, or I'll just get up earlier to do that, or I'll get up in the middle of the night to do that, then that is a sign that your body is actually reacting to this burnout. Your own body is suffering physically. So again, this is a sign to look at your basic needs and establish some healthy boundaries so that you are taking care of your body, and then it can serve you when you need it. Number 5, forgetting tasks. This one goes hand in hand with making more mistakes. So if you notice that you're also forgetting things, not just with work or school, but personal things, like you were supposed to hang out with a friend, or supposed to do a favor for someone, or you were supposed to stop by the grocery store to get something. If you're forgetting things more frequently than you used to, this is another sign that you're probably starting to feel some burnout, or you're headed on your way there. So again, all these red flags are trying to communicate to you, hey, something is up. So take care of yourself. Take a step back, look at your basic needs, make sure they're being met. Number 6, dreading going to work. Now I know that if you don't particularly love the work that you do, you're probably not going to be constantly excited to do it. But if you notice that more and more it gets harder and harder for you to get up in the morning because you know that you're going to have to go to this space, whether that's virtually or physically, that you really dislike, then that's a sign that you are in burnout. For moments like this, when you notice that you're dreading going to work and you're probably feeling burnt out, yes, looking at all of these red flags and making sure that you're taking care of yourself is important, but also even taking a look at the place that you're working and the culture in which you are working. How is that affecting your mental health? And is this really the best place for you? If the answer is no, don't worry. I'm not saying go ahead, quit your job, just let it go. We all have different financial needs and we're all in different spaces, but that is also still information for you. So take this information in and do with it what you feel is best. Working outside work hours. You'll start to notice if you are in burnout or a behavior that leads to burnout is often working longer than you need to. It is very similar to staying up late so that you can complete a task, or waking up early, or waking up in the middle of the night to complete the task, because this is again breaking some boundaries between your personal life and work. I know that sometimes it might feel like, gosh, but I'm so overwhelmed and it really needs to get done, and how can you tell me not to do my job? I'm gonna get fired. That's not what I'm saying. Maintaining these really clear boundaries between work and life helps your mental health. And if you feel overwhelmed and you feel like you don't have enough time in the day to complete the tasks, it might be time for you to advocate for yourself at work. Learning really healthy communication skills can help with something like this. And if you need additional support from someone to create healthy boundaries, also look for that. But remember that the answer is not to sacrifice your own mental and physical well-being in order to complete a work or school project. Having less social interactions. If you notice that you're not spending as much time with your friends, your family, or your significant other, then that's probably a sign that you might be investing way too much time or wasting way too much time on work. You're starting to prioritize your work or your school over your personal relationships. And while there might be seasons in which that is most appropriate, because when we're in school, it kind of is the most important thing, when we notice that there is an imbalance in that for us, because it looks different for everyone. Some of us might really emotionally need to see our friends every day in order to feel fulfilled and to feel that connection with other people. But others of us might only need to see our friends once a week, once every 2 or 3 weeks, and that's okay. But if the balance is off for you personally, that's a red flag. We are social creatures. We need that connection to other people for many reasons. And if we're not meeting that need, right, that's an emotional need, a basic human emotional need, it's going to affect your motivation and your energy and how you feel in every other space. So if you're noticing that, take a beat, see where you can establish some boundaries and try to keep those social engagements. Emotional disengagement. You might also start to notice that wherever you are, whether that's again with your friends, your family, at work, with your significant other, you're not really there. Your brain is at work or at school or with a list of things that need to get done, and you're not being present. You're not connecting emotionally with the people around you or with what you are doing. This, as you could probably guess, is part of what causes you to forget tasks or make mistakes. And that's because, again, you're not being present in the moment or with the people that you need to be. This is just as bad as not connecting with people or not seeing people in person or virtually, because even if you're around a crowd of people, if you're not making that connection, it's still going to affect you emotionally. So if you notice that it's hard for you to be really present in the moment or to feel really connected to people, it might be a time for you to reassess, one, the people that you're probably perhaps around, and trying to choose people that make you feel safe and special and seen and validated, or to also make sure that you're meeting your basic needs so that you can be more present with the people that are important to you. And lastly, getting sick often. So if you notice that you're frequently getting sick, this is a sign. Remember that your body is also experiencing what your brain is experiencing. So if you are getting sick often, not just with COVID, but probably a flu, and you feel like you're constantly getting a cold, then your immune system has been lowered. When we have high levels of stress, our immune is lowered, and so it's more likely that we're going to get sick. And so this is also a sign that you need to take care of yourself. Make sure that you are giving yourself permission to take some time off. Remember that you're allowed to, like you're legally given sick days at work so that you can take care of your body and of yourself. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And if you have trouble with asking for help and setting boundaries, again, healthy communication skills and maybe even additional support might be a good idea. If you are listening to these red flags and you're thinking, oh my God, I have so many of them, and now you're extremely overwhelmed, take a deep breath. This is information for you. If you've checked off at least one or two of these red flags, you're still in a space in which you can address them. Remember that as we're learning about ourselves, as we are trying to establish new patterns, the best way to do this is to observe our current patterns, not judge them. So if you have some of these red flags or notice that you're engaging in some of these behaviors or experiencing some of these symptoms, it just means that your body needs some caring for. I encourage you to do that. Take some time off, look at spaces in which you can set healthier boundaries. Now, I say that knowing that it feels really difficult and sometimes even impossible to set boundaries at work. There's fear of being fired or just retaliation for people or your manager to treat you differently, or your teachers or coworkers judging you for needing that time. There's a lot of fear underneath having to establish these boundaries, and that is normal. So if you need additional help, make sure that you ask for it, because that's what we want to address. Asking for help and taking care of yourself is not the problem. That's not an issue. You're allowed to take care of yourself. So it's more about how can I give myself permission to do that. I hope that you found this video useful. If you did, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, make sure that you do, because I post videos about all things mental health. And remember that your cheat sheet is already available to you on Instagram, so make sure that you're following me there if you're not already there. And again, thank you so much for watching. As always, remember, I'm cheering for you.